In 2016, a source contacted a German newspaper called Süddeutsche Zeitung. They did not want money. They did not want fame. They wanted one thing: to show the world what was really happening with the money of the powerful. What they handed over was the largest data leak in history. 11.5 million documents, 2.6 terabytes of data, from a single law firm in Panama City, called Mossack Fonseca. The documents revealed something that economists and investigators had long suspected but never been able to fully prove. The entire global financial system had a hidden layer, an invisible parallel economy operating in the shadows, used by the world's wealthiest and most powerful people to hide their money, to avoid taxes, to conceal corruption, to move criminal proceeds beyond the reach of any government or law enforcement agency. Kings were in the documents. Presidents were in the documents. Prime ministers, billionaires, drug lords, arms dealers, celebrities, 143 politicians from 50 countries, including 12 current or former heads of state. The documents proved it beyond any doubt, and almost none of them faced meaningful consequences. Welcome back to Mysterious History, the channel where the official story is never the whole story. Today, we are covering a story that did not happen in ancient history. It happened in 2016, and it exposed something that the wealthiest people on Earth had spent decades and billions of dollars trying to keep hidden. The Panama Papers, the largest financial leak in history, and the story of why the people it exposed largely got away with it. To understand the Panama Papers, you need to understand how offshore finance works. Because it is not illegal to have a company in another country. It is not illegal to have a bank account overseas. What is illegal is using those structures to hide money from tax authorities, to conceal the proceeds of corruption or crime, or to move money in ways that circumvent financial regulations designed to prevent exactly that. Offshore financial centers, sometimes called tax havens, are jurisdictions that offer low or zero tax rates and high levels of financial secrecy. The British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, Panama, Luxembourg, Switzerland. These places do not just tolerate offshore financial structures. They compete for them. They have built entire economies around providing secrecy and minimal taxation to wealthy foreign clients. The system works like this. A wealthy individual or corporation wants to hide money. They hire a law firm that specializes in offshore structures. The law firm creates a shell company in a secrecy jurisdiction. The shell company holds the money. On paper, the money belongs to the company, not the individual. The individual's name does not appear in any public record. The money is effectively invisible to tax authorities and law enforcement in the individual's home country. It is a system that has been operating for decades, used by legitimate businesses for legitimate purposes, and used by the corrupt, the criminal, and the powerful for purposes that are anything but legitimate. Mossack Fonseca was one of the largest providers of these services in the world. Mossack Fonseca was founded in Panama in 1977 by two lawyers, Jürgen Mossack, a German-born lawyer whose father had served in the Waffen-SS, and Ramon Fonseca, a Panamanian lawyer and novelist. Over the following 4 decades, the firm built a global network of offices and created over 200,000 shell companies for clients around the world. It was not a small backroom operation. It was a sophisticated global business with offices in over 40 countries. Its clients included individuals from virtually every nation on Earth, and the services it provided ranged from entirely legitimate corporate structuring to the facilitation of what investigators would later describe as industrial-scale financial crime. The firm knew who its clients were. Many of the documents leaked to the press showed Mossack Fonseca employees expressing concerns about clients they suspected of corruption or criminal activity, and then providing services to those clients anyway, because the money was good, and because the system was designed to make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone on the outside to see what was happening, until an anonymous source decided to change that. The source contacted Bastian Obermeier, a journalist at Süddeutsche Zeitung, in early 2015. They communicated only through encrypted channels. They refused to meet in person. They refused to identify themselves. They said only that they wanted to make these crimes public. The volume of data they provided was so enormous that Süddeutsche Zeitung immediately understood it could not handle the story alone. They contacted the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. The ICIJ coordinated a team of over 400 journalists from over 80 countries, working in secret for over a year, analyzing the documents, cross-referencing names, building a picture of the global network of offshore finance that the documents revealed. They agreed to publish simultaneously on April 3rd, 2016. And when they did, the world changed overnight. The documents named heads of state from Russia, Pakistan, Ukraine, Iceland, and dozens of other countries. They named the father of British Prime Minister David Cameron. They named the president of Ukraine. They named close associates of Vladimir Putin, who had moved $2 billion through offshore accounts. They named the King of Saudi Arabia. They named the Prime Minister of Iceland. They named hundreds of the wealthiest and most powerful people on Earth. The immediate political consequences were dramatic. The Prime Minister of Iceland, Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson, resigned within days of the publication. Documents showed he had hidden assets in an offshore company during the 2008 financial crisis, while his government was negotiating with creditors over Iceland's banking collapse. The conflict of interest was undeniable. He was gone within 48 hours. In Pakistan, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was eventually disqualified from office by the Supreme Court following revelations in the Panama Papers about his family's offshore holdings. In Ukraine, President Petro Poroshenko faced enormous pressure over an offshore company he had created during his presidency, a company he had promised to dissolve when he took office. He had not dissolved it. David Cameron in the United Kingdom faced days of damaging questions about his father's offshore fund before releasing his own tax returns. He had benefited from the fund. He had not broken any laws, but the political damage was significant. In Russia, Vladimir Putin's government dismissed the entire leak as an anti-Russian operation orchestrated by American intelligence agencies. The named associates of Putin denied wrongdoing. None faced any legal consequences in Russia. In China, the authorities did something even simpler. They censored the story entirely. The Panama Papers were not reported by Chinese media. References to them were blocked on Chinese social media. The names of Chinese officials and their family members in the documents were never seen by most Chinese citizens. And here is where the Panama Papers story becomes most disturbing. The leak was the largest in financial history. The journalistic effort that analyzed and published it was extraordinary. The political consequences in some countries were real and significant. But in terms of legal accountability for the individuals named, the results have been remarkably thin. Mossack Fonseca closed in 2018, following the collapse of its business after the leak. Its founders were arrested in Panama on money laundering charges. The charges were later dropped. The founders walked free. Of the hundreds of politicians, billionaires, and public figures named in the documents, the number who have faced criminal conviction directly as a result of the Panama Papers can be counted on one hand. Why? Several reasons. Much of what was revealed, while morally indefensible, was not technically illegal in the jurisdictions where it occurred. The offshore system is largely legal. It was designed by lawmakers, many of whom benefit from it personally. In countries where the activities were clearly illegal, as in Russia and China, the governments had no interest in prosecuting their own officials. And in Western democracies, where prosecution might have been possible, the legal process moves slowly. Evidence gathered from leaked documents faces admissibility challenges, and the individuals named could afford the best legal defense money could buy. The system that was exposed by the Panama Papers is still largely intact. The secrecy jurisdictions are still operating. The shell companies are still being created. The money is still moving through the shadows, because the people with the power to change the system are the same people who benefit from it. The Panama Papers showed us something that many people had long suspected but never been able to prove: that there are two financial systems operating in the world simultaneously. The one that ordinary people use, where taxes are automatically deducted from wages, where bank accounts are visible to authorities, where the rules apply and there are consequences for breaking them, and the one that the wealthy and powerful use, where money moves invisibly through networks of shell companies and offshore accounts, where taxes are optional if you can afford the right lawyers, where the rules are written by people who benefit from them being weak. 11.5 million documents proved it. 400 journalists published the evidence simultaneously to an audience of billions. And the system continued. Because the system is not a bug, it is a feature. Designed by the people it serves, maintained by the people it enriches, and protected by the people it protects. The anonymous source who handed those documents to a German journalist in 2015 wanted the world to see what was really happening. The world saw, and the people responsible made sure it changed as little as possible. Subscribe to Mysterious History for new mysteries every week. The official story is never the whole story. Coming up next on Mysterious History, he was the most powerful labor leader in America. He controlled a union of 2 million members. He had ties to organized crime that went to the very top. And he knew secrets about some of the most powerful people in the country. On July 30th, 1975, he walked into a parking lot in Michigan and was never seen again. The disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. Next week on Mysterious History.